Hello, everybody. Is Gary Dennis, your candidate for Richland 2 School Board at Large seat. I am here to give a brief synopsis of the August 13th, 2024 regular scheduled board meeting. I was going to have this done Wednesday, and I'll be honest with you. I chose not to do it Wednesday or Thursday because towards the end of the meeting, and we'll go over some things, I needed to do a lot more research and a lot more digging before I said anything that I truly didn't know. So we're going to start off. They had the call to order, and then they went into pretty much executive session after approval of the agenda. And the executive session, they talked about the superintendent's evaluation and contract modifications. So with that, I don't know what happened. Okay, so with that, they come out at public session, or they started public session at 6:30. They had their inspirational moment and Pledge of Allegiance, which was very inspirational. They had their special recommendations showing the superintendent's new cabinet along with new principal hires. After that, they did their consent agenda, and they did the approval of minutes from their last meeting, and then employee release and in-district transfers, which the week prior they did all that. They had a special call to do all that. And then they had public participation. During public participation, they had a pastor, a reverend, that talked about schools being college ready and workforce ready, and how every grading aspect of the schools are below average except for the graduation rate and the career readiness rate. They're excellent. And I do see what he's saying. How can everything be bad, and then you got the two things that you care most about being good? I just don't see how I don't understand how that can happen. If that's the fact, it's kind of like the military, where where a squadron, in my case the Air Force, where a squadron is just not good at what they do, but they can still pass and make an excellent on something. But the morale and the way you treat your people are just horrible. And it happens. And I wholeheartedly agreed with him on that. And then the magnet program update. So they went into the magnet program update. Oh, let's get back. So 8.1, here's what they talked about the superintendent. So here's the motion that was made by Nikki Porter. In light of the superintendent's positive performance evaluation, I move that the board amend the superintendent's contract as follows. 1. Extend the contract for 1 year through June 30th, 2027. 2. Provide that the superintendent may accrue and carry over up to 90 vacation days and be paid for those days upon separation at her daily rate for the 2023-2024 school year for the first 24 days, and $100 per day for all remaining days up to the maximum of 90 days. 3. Clarify liability insurance coverage for the superintendent. And 4. Increase the annuity contribution by 3%. This was seconded by LaShonda McFadden, and the motion carried with a 7-0 vote. After that, they did not need to do employment recommendations or any other as-needed items because that was already done the week prior. And then they went into a magnet program update. Now, the magnet program update was something that was presented by Barbara Turner, the Office of Academics, and she went over the magnet background that were started in 1991, and that we currently have 38. There's 4 magnet centers, 11 school-wide magnets, and then 23 schools within a school magnets. They talked about the structure. So a magnet center is a separate small school located on a large school campus. It is lottery-based. There's a school within a school magnet, and that is specialized learning community within a larger school setting, and the selection is elementary lottery and middle and high school selective criteria. School-wide magnet, all students attend the school are considered magnet students, and that is also lottery-based. And they talked about how it's a computer-generated lottery, and not all students could get in there. But there's also a talk is if, let's say, my son was to get in one and my daughter we wanted them to go to the same school. Yes, there is a way to get them in. And as of right now, from what they said, there's no instances where students are separated that didn't want to be. But that also brings us up education for everybody. Not everybody can get in the magnet. So you might have students that are missing out. And then they talked about the school-wide enrollment and then school within a school enrollments and how over the year it went down, and then it's on its way back up. So that's a good thing. The timeline for consideration, they talked about the choices fairs they have. They do the advertisement, the application process, the school information nights, the interviews and lottery selections and notifications. They talked about how that happens and things like that. And then, they talked about the accolades. So, and I just want to touch on this really quick. There's 33 nationally certified magnet programs, 22 demonstration magnets. The Donna Grady Career Award for District Magnet Sustainability in 2023, we won. The National Magnet Teacher of the Year 2023. The National Magnet Principal of the Year in 2019. The National New and Emerging School of Excellence in 2022. And the Top 20 National Magnet School of Excellence in 2020 and 2024. And then the 48 Merit Awards of Excellence and Distinction in 2010. Or since 2010. And then they had some questions. That's when they asked about how is transportation provided. And right now it's up to the parents. And if you're not zoned for that school, you got to get your kids there. And they're talked about looking at how they can maneuver kids around so that they can also take part if they do not have transportation. So the next thing they went into is 9.2, which is another new business, no action requested. And they talked about the organization of the board. And what they were hinting at is the officer positions. And pretty much it was for the secretary. So the secretary, they changed, the secretary attends board meetings and ensures the accurate recording of minutes, along with assumed the role of presiding officer of a meeting if both the chairman and vice chairman are absent from the meeting. Okay, hold on one second. There's a lot of talking, so you kind of got to have some water every once in a while. So basically what they did is they took out where the secretary has to attend all board meetings because something could come up. And then they took out recording the process because Richland 2 actually has people hired to do this. Basically, they record the meetings. They ensure that these meetings are live streamed, and that's how they record them. And then they have somebody there that records the votes because as a motion's made, they can type it out. It goes on to their iPad. They can vote yes, no, or abstain. And that goes on there, and then they can put it to record. And then, they talk about if the chairman or vice chairman's not there, they need an officer to step up. Now, if you didn't have an officer, and this has happened in the Planning Commission before I was the vice chair of the Planning Commission for Richland County, if you didn't have any officers there, the meeting couldn't go on. So you had to do an emergency election of an officer just for that one meeting and go through with the meeting to even have it if you had a quorum. So this right here gives you 3 outs. It gives you the chair, the vice chair, and the secretary. Very seldom would all 3 ever be out. Very seldom. So that would allow them to go on with their meetings instead of not have one, because these meetings are in public and they are for the school board, and there's a lot of things that need to be done at these meetings, and it would really not be good if you couldn't have a meeting, you had to push it off or have another special called meeting or an emergency meeting. And that's what we're trying not to do. In my eyes, I think that's what they're trying not to do. So they just talked about it and they went on from there. Next was they started to go into the draft agenda. Now, the draft agenda, they started to go over all that, and everything is still the same. The call to order, the executive session, the inspirational moment, pledge of allegiance, special recognitions. They had a consent agenda, talked about that. They talked about the public participation, the voting on executive session items, anything as needed. Then the new business, and there was only one new business, no action requested new business, a fourth quarter pupil services report for the 23-2024 school year. And then they was going to talk about the agenda items for the next meeting for September 10th. That's on there also. And then public participation if needed, executive session if needed, voting on executive items if needed, and then board and superintendent comments, and then adjournment. However, before that was approved, there was a few motions. The motion was made by Joe Trapp. I move that we add policy JHCB, release time for religious instruction, to August 27th, 2024 regular board meeting agenda for first reading. The second was by LaShonda McFadden. There was some talk that they can't do this because it was voted down prior, but it wasn't voted down. What had happened was a previous meeting, it was removed from the agenda. It was never voted down to say we can't do it or we're not going to look at it or anything like that. They just removed it because there was a lot of things going on, and they're like, okay, we'll remove it and we'll bring it back at a later date. And board policies state that within a year they try to put things back on, and they should. And they're getting close to that year from when it was removed. So they figured, hey, there's only one item on every meeting. Let's go ahead and get it on there. Let's take care of it. Well, there was a lot of talk back and forth, and they had the chair, Monica Scott. She did a good thing in my eye, where she paused the meeting to confer past meetings and look over the minutes and video to ensure that that's really what happened, that it was voted off the agenda and not voted down. So it was just removed from the agenda. And when it was removed in that video, Chairman Trapp was talking about how it would kill it. Well, in reality, it doesn't really kill it. It just took it off that time, and it killed it for a certain period of time because they weren't going to talk about it because they was going to take care of all the other things that they had. And now that they've done that, it looked like he was trying to get it on there before that year time frames back up so that they could start working through it with certain stakeholders. And then comments were made that, this is not how we do things. And I started looking over policy, and I started looking at past meetings, and there's a lot of items that comes from the School Board Association that just goes straight on the agenda when it comes out, and they take a vote without conferring with school improvement councils, PTOs, parent advisory councils, or anything like that. They put it on there, they start looking at it, they start with administration, they look it over, and then they go from there. So, my thing is, they should have put it on there and taken care of it, but it did fail, so it was not put on there. So the three that voted to have it on there was Joe Trapp, Angela Nash, and LaShonda McFadden. The 4 no was Tamika Washington, Lindsay Agostini, Nikki Porter, and Monica Scott. Now, I'm not saying that this is a good or a bad thing, but what I am saying is this is a very bad thing because there's so much misinformation about this. And even Nikki Porter, one of the board members, talked about how she does not support it because she does not want kids leaving school because they need their math or writing and arithmetic and social studies and all that. But that's where we get squirrely because from my research into this, they can't miss those classes. It has to be during a certain elective time. And there can be no school funds used for it, can't be school transportation. They cannot even be on school grounds. They have to go somewhere else to do this. So, and that's just from my research. So what I'm saying is we should put it on there. It should be on there, and they should really get the information out so that everybody is well aware. There's a lot of instances where certain groups don't want it, and some groups do, and certain people do, and certain people don't. But we're never going to get the answer if we don't put it on there, and the school board does not take action, whether to vote it down or vote it up, and try to see if we can give it to whatever students want it. And here's the thing. It's not, what I have researched and found, it's not just for Christian-based faith. You can do anything. My kids are raised Jewish, and if there was a way to put that on there so that they could go and I could make it happen with their other schooling, I would probably allow them to go. But I don't know if it can be done because it's not there and they're not willing to talk about it. So I truly think it needs to be done. And there's a lot of instances talking back and forth with it. And I will admit, Chairman Scott, she did the right thing by pausing the meeting so that she could research to make sure that they could even take a vote on this to even add it. And that's where I think it got squirrely and failed. And I really think it should just been put on there, because you did have 3 that wanted it, and their board policy says if 3 wants it, then they should take a vote, and the board chair. But they took a vote not to put it on there, so I think it's just a policy that's just sitting there waiting for our school board to be sued, because there was a lawsuit in the northern part of the state about this a few years back in it, but it wasn't about adding it. It was about the school board was going to take it away, and they sued and they won, because if I'm not mistaken, 1952, the Supreme Court said this is legal. And there are many school boards here in South Carolina and across the nation in many, many states that do this because it's legal. And certain parents wanted it, and they gave them that opportunity. So that's what we should explore. The other thing was, we got so much to do. Well, every meeting you're only having one policy that you're looking at, one draft agenda that you're doing. Why not just go ahead and get it taken care of? So the other thing that was brought up was, we're going to have a new board because it's an election year. Well, yes, I'm running for school board. Do I think we should wait for this for a new school board? No, I do not, because you're elected to take care of stuff while you're on the board. If it's something that started on your board, you should finish it. You should finish it. You shouldn't say, I'm going to wait for almost a half a year before this gets brought up again. Because what happens if we found a good way to do this? That means it wouldn't be enacted right now. It wouldn't start tomorrow. It would be a way to enact it the next school year. But if we kick the can down the road, now you're looking at 2 years from now, probably before it could be enacted, if it was found to be a good thing. And that's the thing. We don't know if it's going to be good. We don't know if it's going to be bad, because we haven't had the conversation to do it. And if they start now, if they start now and they still haven't got it rectified by the time I come on, the work has already been done. So if I'm elected and I come on, I don't have to worry about starting that, because the work's already there. Questions already been asked. Stuff's already been worked out. The administration's already figuring out how they can do it without spending any money. That's just where I'm at with it. I just want to see it done, get it over with. Then there was another motion by Joe Trapp to add school board conference reports to the 27 August agenda. And it was seconded by LaShonda McFadden. The people that voted yes was Angela Nash and LaShonda McFadden, and the no votes was Joe Trapp, Tamika Washington, Lindsay Agostini, Nikki Porter, and Monica Scott. And, Joe Trapp, he made a comment in there about, we've done this in the past, so I figured I was going to bring it up because they all went to a bunch of conferences, safety and law and stuff like that. And the thing is, board members aren't required to do this. It was if they wanted to give them a little block of time. And Chairman Scott, she said, you got at the end of each meeting, you got your board comment, so you could do it there. But here's where I think there's a gray area where they shouldn't do it there. I really think they should have a section there, so if a board member wanted to put up slides so that it could be shown what they do, it would be on the agenda, and that way any future agendas, you could look it up and people in the public could see it, because it would be a presentation. But I wholeheartedly believe that to keep meetings short, you should limit that presentation to a certain amount, just like you do for public speaking. I would say give a board member, if they wanted to give a presentation for anything they attend, 5 minutes. And that way, if they had extra slides and they knew they weren't going to get in 5 minutes, you can also review the slides and see the extra information and just put bullet points there. I think it would be a great idea, because after all, our taxpayer dollars are going to send people to these conferences, and I would like to see what some of these conferences have to say, because these conferences don't put out everything, and it's up for us to see things. As a member of a school improvement council, as a vice chair of a school improvement council, if it was something that had to deal with something we were doing, I would love to see some updates from somewhere other than what I can research. It would be great if a school board member had those on there for safety or other educational things, chronic absenteeism and things like that. Like, it would could greatly help somebody in an organization like that. It could greatly help PTO if there were some law issues that was brought up between the PTO and schools and school board associations putting this on and stuff like that. I think it would be great. However, I also believe that not every board member should be made to do it. Okay, I believe if a board member wants to present, they can, and I'm a 5-minute guy. I think if you can't get it done in 5 minutes, then you don't need to do it. Or you can take your personal time and do it, but if you did the personal time, I would not want to have a slideshow because it wouldn't be part of the agenda. You're having this meeting, and I think if you're going to make it part of your meeting and you're going to talk about it, it needs to be on the agenda. So I think a little block there would have been great. Okay, so that was kind of the end of that. Now, I wanted to have this up Wednesday, but like I said, I wanted to review the video. I wanted to look back on past board policies and past videos of how they've done things. And the one thing that strikes me with the school board is they talk about, well, this is our normal practice. This is our normal way. And then you got policies that kind of contradict that. And then you got policies that support some of the ways they do it. And then you got no policies that don't say anything, but that's just how you do it. My thing is, a policy is to guide you through something. In the Air Force, we had AFIs, okay? Air Force instructions. It told us how we do things, how we do certain meetings, how we do maintenance, how we do anything throughout any job in the Air Force, okay? Any meeting. It don't matter who you are. The only way to do that is if a general had to do, he had to institute change, and he had to change that AFI because he's also held by those at the same time. So is the Joint Chiefs of Staff. They're held by the same AFIs. So if something's not working, they change it. And I think that's a great thing for each school board to do. I think policies need to be looked deeper into and find out where we're failing ourselves, failing the public, and painting our district into a hole that's harder to get out. Because ultimately, something could happen, and I hate using something could happen, but ultimately, if you was to ever be sued, you need to have that policy to back you up of why you did it. So when the state legislature, they set the rules from the state and it comes down, then county, they'll set money down, and then the school board, it's up to them to do what's legal within those parameters. But if you don't have policies to set, you can go from one school board to another every election and just willy-nilly change things. And I don't like that because that allows for things to happen, people to get sued, and for kids to get hurt, and education lost, safety issues, and things like that. So I wholeheartedly believe that policies should be looked at independently by each board member, and if they see something that doesn't seem right, they should bring it up. And I understand a lot of the policies say, see Robert's Rules. Well, the thing is, Robert's Rules has a lot of rules in it, okay? And there are ways to get things done that I don't think's right, ethically right, just because you say something or make a motion a certain way to get it done. I believe if you start policies and you have great policies, those policies can help with what I always call safety, education, and transparency, which is what I say, let's get Richland to set. Those policies can outline your safety guidelines, your educational guidelines, and your transparency guidelines. Those policies help with the transparency, which can help with safety, which can help with education, creating that safe educational experience for all students, all teachers, all faculty, all parents, all administrators, and anybody out there in the public sector that comes in to help schools. Because one of the greatest things is, I think, as a community, is we can use our business and our business partners to bring things into our schools. Wholeheartedly, we can bring bakeries in. We can bring any type of business, realtors, doctors, to talk to kids. And if we have those policies to bring these people in so that they can give presentations during career days and things like that, I think that would be great. It would show our students, it would show our kids that there's more to do than just go to school. There's a lot of great jobs out there. Some you got to go to college, some you don't go to college, some you got to go to a trade school, some are just willy-nilly. But you don't know about them if you don't get the people in there to talk. You're only going to see what's on here, the social media. And social media can be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing that I think is affecting our kids. And I think if we can do more in-person things for our students with the community, our parents, our teachers, our organizations, I think that would be better off for our students. But that's all I had. I wanted to give a quick breakdown. I want to do it under 30 minutes, and I'm right under 25 minutes. It would have been a lot shorter if we didn't have the religious time and the school board conference reports, things that were added at the end that was voted down. But that's my view, and I will probably take heat over that, but I'm willing to take it because I reviewed the tapes or the videos. I looked at policies, I read policies, and there's gray areas in those policies. And then looking back on Robert's rules, or what I know from being a vice chair of the Richland County Planning Commission, is how I think it should have been done. And why that we shouldn't wait on things. I believe if you're elected to school board, let's get it done now. Let's not wait, because every second you wait is a second lost. That's how I see things. But my website is now live, so it is www.dennis4r2.com. You can check that out. You can also follow my Facebook page. You can follow the YouTube channel, or you can follow me on Twitter. All that's linked on the website. And if you have any questions, by all means, you can always just hit the contact me button. And it's got emails and my phone number, so you can give me a call. You can talk to me, and you can express concerns or views or anything that you would want me to tackle when going on the school board, because my thing is set. Let's get R2 set. And my main focus is safety, education, and transparency. I know that's a big thing, but if we're transparent, we can provide safe educational opportunities. If we do that, then that means that we can take all the outline stuff and we can make it better. Not just focus on one or two things. Whatever we find, it's like an onion. And when I was doing IG inspections, it was like an onion. You go inspect something and you find it and you peel it back. And the worse it got, the harder you wanted to cry because you knew it wasn't right. Well, if we find something, let's get it fixed. Let's not wait to be sued. Let's not wait for an IG inspection. Let's not wait for any of that. If we find it, I think a school board has that opportunity, along with that administration, to work together and work with your stakeholders, such as, me as a parent, me as a business owner, me as a candidate, to make it better. Because ultimately, it's about the kids. And that's what we need to focus on, about the kids. So that's all I got. Hopefully y'all have a wonderful day. God bless, and y'all have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.